The first myth about trust is that trust is a value, right? Trust is not a value. Now, this might be confusing. This is a little bit controversial. Throw your questions in, throw your thoughts into the chat as you guys are already doing. Trust is not a value. What do you mean, Steve? Trust is a value. No, it's not. Well, this is it. Trust is not a value. It's a consequence. Trust is a consequence of great values in action. See, most of the research when I was doing my book on leadership, I was trying to we're trying to pin down what's a great leader. And what we were found out was that trust was the result of great values in action. So respect, integrity, empathy. It wasn't those words. It wasn't those values, but it was when leaders acted in ways that showed those things. So go back to the definition of respect. Sorry, to the definition of trust. It's about actions. So values are a consequence, right? And that's why it's often slippery when we talk with companies like, oh, we want to make trust a value. It's like, well, wait a minute, think about that, or think about that for a second. Or if we make respect, excellence, creativity, collaboration, and integrity, is the result trust, a sense of safety as a result of us putting that into practice. So when we understand that trust is about actions, it becomes more accessible to us. I now become closer to making it doable. I'm not going to let trust just happen to my relationship with Laura because I know that trust is a consequence of how I behave. Oh my gosh, I wish I would have known this 20 years ago. The development of strengthening trust starts to become more within my control, within our control, right? So what's the next one? Oh, this is huge. This is probably, I would say, the biggest barrier to trust. You've heard it. No, I don't have time to build trust with Brett. No, we don't have time to build trust. We don't have time. I don't have time to do that. We need to move on. Now, trust does not take time. Trust takes actions over time, right? It's not the time that passes. It's not that a week goes by. It's what happens in that week. Now, I learned this with gang members. I've done a lot of work with gang members, okay? And what's interesting about working with gang members is because a lot of people say it takes a long time to build trust. Well, what I learned from them is when you use their name, look in their eyes, demonstrate respect by asking if you can enter their space, and you ask permission to move around, and you make your thoughts and your actions predictable, right? If you shake their hand versus standing back, if you stand up versus sitting down, that can happen over 60 seconds. And in that 60 seconds, I've heard from thousands of kids that makes a difference in whether they trust us or not. But see, imagine this. Remember, belief equals effort equals outcome. If I really believe that I don't have time to build trust, what kind of effort am I going to put in it? Here's another barrier. Trust is hard to build and easy to break. You hear people say that. It takes forever to build. I'm not going to talk about that part, right? But we've already seen that based on the first two, if it's actions over time, if you let me know, Fabio, if you let me know, Marnie, what actions I need to take, right? It's not going to be about time. We can build trust very, very quickly. When trust is strong, it's very difficult to break. And as a matter of fact, if you're up here on trust and you have a breach or bent or bruise or broken, right? You can build it a lot faster than you think. You can bounce back when you use the right actions over time, right? Trust isn't as vulnerable as people think it is, right? Here's another one. Here's a big myth. Trust is only impacted by some behaviors, right? Certain behaviors are bad, some are good. Well, this is it. All behaviors impact trust. Let's move into a position of leadership, right? This is what we've learned over the years, that every single action does one of two things. It either strengthens the trust in the relationship or it weakens it. There is no neutral. There is no neutral. And see, the reason why I like that is because now as a leader, right, or as a team member even, I now am more sensitive to the fact that what am I doing in this moment that is either strengthening or jeopardizing the trust in my relationship with the people I work with. Finally, this is a common one. Trust is a two-way street, right? I'm not going to trust. They got to take a step. Now I'm going to put this in the context of leadership, right? So yes, but there's an exception in the context of leadership, or when one person has more power. It is not a two-way street. It is a one-way street in the beginning, and I'll tell you that. The conditions for trust in the beginning of a relationship with a leader are 100% the responsibility of the leader, right? And this is what I mean. The leader must behave in a way that creates an environment where it's safe to trust, okay? Where a team member can trust, where teams can trust, right? So that's really, really critical. Trust is not a two-way street, especially in the context of leadership. Do team members have a responsibility? Do direct reports? Absolutely, for sure. Once trust has been established, then it's a two-way street. But at first, it's only paved for one way. Okay. So when we bust these myths about trust, right, we improve our chance to develop, sustain the trust that we want in the relationships that are most important to us, our work relationships, our team. A shared understanding of trust, right? Shifting our beliefs, right, is great. Now that we know that trust is a consequence, now that I know that trust doesn't take time, now that I know that every single action either strengthens it, oh my goodness, right? I start to become in greater control of the trust in my relationship. It doesn't become an accident, it becomes purposeful and it becomes intentional.